good day to you. You're welcome to the program Parliament and Governance on Independent Television. My name is Evan Sunokogie. Well, today's edition is a special edition in the sense that it's to further commemorate the June 12th celebration and, of course, the observance in Nigeria. Well, we saw that the president was at the joint session of the National Assembly in Abuja. And of course, he spoke to honorable members. And he also addressed the nation, as well as addressing the honorable members on the fate of the nation, so to say, from this celebration, this June 12th celebration. Well, today on the program Parliament and Governance, we're going to be taking one or two lines from the speeches of the president, and also to see how that can actually further deepen our democracy in the country. My name is Evan Sunokogie. Well, today on the program, I'm so privileged to have two erudite gentlemen here. And of course, very close to my near left is Honorable Etunsa Igibo, a foremost political analyst in Edo State and, of course, in Nigeria. Honorable, you're welcome to the program Parliament and Governance.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Also, we have Honorable Destiny Orayerio in Abulile, a former local government chairman, to precise, the former Ovia Southwest local government chairman in Edo State. Honorable, you're welcome to the program.
Mr. Evans, thank you for having me, and good afternoon, viewers.
All right, so before we try to look at, the speeches that were made at the joint section of the National Assembly commemorating the June 12th, this year's June 12th celebration. Now, before now, we saw whereby it was said that one of the reasons why we're going to be having the joint session is to further deepen the discussion on the fact that from this June 12th, or the fact that there's a bill before the National Assembly that the swearing in, the May 29th swearing in that used to be observed at the Eagle Square, it's no more going to be like that. It's going to be observed now at on a joint session at the National Assembly. Well, some people have said that that does not, we're not in a parliamentary system of government, and that does not have any political relevance in any way. So I'll start with Honorable Etunsa Igibo. What is your response to that, observation?
Well, I think the observation we always have its root cause. I'm sure we all understand that the president of the country is way older, pretty much like old enough to be our father here. There must be a reason why they thought it through that maybe it would be more of an important occasion to have the June 12th, or to have the swearing in of the presidential election done at a joint section. I think what is most important for me is whether it is done at the Eagle Square, whether it is done at the National Assemblies, or just like they changed the national anthem from the previous one to a newer one. I think what is most important and what Nigerians want to experience is the determination and the will and the ability to bring about the change, the desired change that we need, not just on the part of government, but also in the aspect of our orientation, the way we look at things. So, first and foremost, I'm happy that we have democracy. And on the second note, whatever adjustments or shift or changes the current instrumentalities of government wants to do, let it be for the development and strengthening of our democracy, and obviously trickle down to the common man on the streets as well.
Okay. All right, so Honorable Destiny Abulile, you also want to respond to the bill, that with this observation of this June 12th, the swearing in of the president is going to be at the National Assembly, joint session of National Assembly.
Yeah, Mr. Evans and ITV management, let me appreciate you guys again for having me. You see, I have a challenge in situations like this. I must be very frank. Whether in the joint section or at the Eagle Square, what impact in the lives of the average Nigerian people? That is my bone of contention. And again, if you look at the budgetary allocation as related to swearing, does that reduce in terms of the amount? Okay, so now saying it's no longer in Eagle Square. We're not having it at the National Assembly. Does that reduce the budgetary allocation? Vis-a-vis, we must just look at not just a mere pronouncement. Although the National Assembly, I think I listened to them I think last week or so to speak, that they will sponsor a bill to that effect. And I have looked at it, the intent and purpose of this having it, the swearing in at the National Assembly. You know, with utmost humility and simplicity, you know, our president is a very smart man. I love him for that. Right from his way back as a governor of Lagos State. I admire him because he's always a step ahead. He's always a step ahead. So for us, he has given us another talk to busy our mind, to engage us while they meander the political terrain and aim the main one, which is the 2027. As we speak very just now, governance in Nigeria is in, according to my grandmother, is in a state of comatose, as we speak very just now.
In what sense? How exactly do you mean?
Yes. If you look at this whole scenario, what they are saddled with now, or rather what they are concerned with now, is how they will clinch 2027 general election, the presidency, the central election. So, by and large, the issue of having governance that will affect the people, it is secondary in their thought, in their thinking. That is the gospel truth. If you look at what is going on now, as we speak very just now, they are busy. How will I put it? Is it coercing, or is it persuasion? I don't know the word to use, because if you look at what happened in Delta State, for instance, from the news in the streets, because I'm a street person, that you see the former governor of Delta State and the present one, and the whole government of House of Assembly, and the local government chairman and their councillors, they all moved to the ruling party. So they are busy.
Yeah, but that seems to have been the kind of democracy we've always had in Nigeria. I mean, democracy is survival.
Mr. Wilson, it has not been
Mr.
this.
Evans.
No, Mr. Evans, it has not been this. It has not been this. Visible to the blind and audible to the deaf. That's not. If you go back, if you cast your mind back to 1999 till this present APC-led administration. I know my friend here is a chieftain of APC.
Yeah, you just.
I am not looking at it. I'm trying to look at it dispassionately. I'm trying to look at it between the APC and between the PDP. Try to speak the mind of the average Nigerian. This is their proclamation. This is their pronouncement of what economic importance to the average. Would this reduce the cost of buying, goods and services in the market? Would this, add to our production, industrialization as a nation? That is my concern. What we need to be hearing now is how we are going to jack up this economy that will favor all of us. All of us will go to bed with our two eyes closed. We know fully well that we have food in our belly. That is what I want to hear. Not this jamboree, not this politics, thereby jettisoning governance. That's the point I'm looking at it.
Okay. All right. So, Honorable Tunsa, now I know you have so much a response to, make concerning what you just said. I mean, concerning this administration and also how governance is in the country now. And he also talked about the political, globetrotting now. That's the way some people call it, from other parties to the ruling party and all that. Now, I want you to merge your response to this joint session. A lot of persons, at the risk of not trying to criticize Mr. President for addressing the joint session, but you and I know the whole thing about June 12th, the story about June 12th. Yes. Now, for a lot of Nigerians, it is probably kudos to the former President Muhammadu Buhari, who had to institutionalize June 12th, and that was a sure way of maybe calming down the political nerves of a lot of persons in the country. But this time now, we are having a president. Some persons expected the president to address the whole nation, but instead the president addressed a joint session of the National Assembly on a June 12th day. Yeah,
so he addressed the joint section and at the same time addressed the nation. Because addressing the nation from the villa and also addressing the National Assembly members to take the message back to their people, and as well as projecting that same address to the public, that is the only difference. Whether it is done in the villa or it is done with his fellow members of the arms of government, which in another arm, which is the legislature. With June 12, my dad during the time of the SDP was he played the role of the chairman in the whole federation in Nigeria. So he was a solid member of the SDP. And of course, you know that the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was also a very strong member of the SDP. He was a very strong supporter of Moshood Abiola, who was refused the presidency at the time. So everything to do with SDP and June 12 is what we were born into. So it's like part and parcel of us as a people. So like I said, the president is older. He probably has his own idea why he felt the need to do it at the joint session. And then when he talks about the aspect of democracy, I think, if I must draw my brother's attention to some of the things the president has been doing on the macro level of the economy is to make sure, macro level. You have the macro and the micro level.
Yeah.
On the macro level, that is the areas we've suffered the most. Bad loans, bleeding of the generation of funds in Nigeria, borrowing and misappropriation. You know what I mean?
But we saw some borrowings recently.
Yeah, there are different ways you can borrow. You can borrow and somebody tells you, I give you 30 days to pay back. And if you don't pay back, you lose your property. And you can also negotiate a better borrowing, whereby after 30 days, if you cannot pay back, we have an extra percentage on top of that. You don't lose your property. So I think Brother Ahmed Tinubu has a better negotiating power in those areas. Once he stopped the subsidy, which obviously is biting, it's not easy. But these are many years of bad governance. From the very beginning up till now, maybe in the last 30, 40 years, Nigeria has never really run an economy that addressed the monetary and fiscal policy in this country, which Bola Ahmed Tinubu has put on the table. On the fiscal policy, it means if you don't have money, you cannot spend that money. And on the monetary policy, it looks at the issues of forex and foreign exchange in terms of the naira to the dollar, which is one of the beautiful things he did with tackling multiple exchange rates, which I think we're going to benefit as time goes on. In terms of the presidency itself, deepening democracy, he has increased the allocations to the different states. And he has made more money available to the state governors, which at the same time, the local government will have more money as well.
Yeah, when you say he has increased the allocations to the different states now, the question that some people ask is the difference in the economic, permutation from where those states were and what they are now. Some still say that it's a far cry. I mean, take for example, let's say in 2021, the economical responsibility of a state was just within billions. Right now you have it in trillions. So what difference?
There are different factors. And unfortunately, sometimes orientation and information within governance, the people that has handled those areas, sometimes I feel they don't know what they need to do. We should not forget the problems with the problems from the Western countries when we had this epidemic. After the epidemic, the countries were looking to recover a little bit. And then we had the problems with the war in Ukraine. Because Nigeria has always been, for example, as a case study, a dependent nation on imports, we hardly ever really produced much as a people. Yeah. It becomes very difficult for us to see the price of bread because the wheat that is used to produce those bread in Nigeria, majority comes from Ukraine and Russia. So when Russia and Ukraine had a problem, that became another issue. The issues of inflation and cost of operations in terms of energy. It's not just affecting Nigeria in a bad way because the subsidy was removed, which is money that was going into few pockets of people who now takes the product that they claim to subsidize to other countries in sub-Saharan Africa to make more money to the detriment of Nigeria, which I praise the president for. Also affected the Western countries. Like I recently went to Rwanda, London, New York, and Canada, and I realized that the cost of procuring and buying things in the stores has gone up as well. Because at the end of the day, the cheap energy from Russia affected Europe a great deal. So that aspect is also there. Because remember, because we've not really run an economy that is stabilized like the ones you would say, okay, in Nigeria now, Lagos has a reasonable economy. I put it that way. It's considered to be a very rich state. In Africa, in the whole of West Africa, it's probably the 5th largest economy. You can equally have people that much in several states in the sub-Saharan Africa that are very wretched because of the management and how the governors run their affairs. If you compare the economic situations to our people on our everyday life, because I also live on the streets just like he does, You look at the unionism.
All right, so what you're saying is that the present economical, quagmire, so to say, that Nigeria seems to be going through now is a kind of an offshoot of the global...
Part of it, not just everything cannot be related to the global thing, because remember, subsidy was removed. I'm a businessman. When the subsidy was removed from power, my bill on a regular month moved from maybe 1.6 million to 3-4 million.
And of course,
but then again, as a businessman, I know that the companies that was running those businesses are taking so much from me.
Yeah, but what
because they're trying to hide on that. They're trying to hide. Just a minute.
Understand.
Yeah, that's what I want to make them understand.
Yeah.
The companies tries to take away the fact that because there was no subsidy and they were making money, they now have to increase the money that I pay in my business 3, 4, 5 times because regulation is not solid.
Let's try to say it in such a way that the ordinary man on the street will understand. Now, subsidy has been removed from petroleum.
Yeah.
You understand? It was this same president that told us that no more subsidy in the country. Yeah. And most Nigerians cannot fathom, they cannot understand a president that came in and said no more subsidy, as if to allay their fears that all suffering in the country is now gone. And only for them to find out that it's a new page of what they never expected.
That is why governance is by the people and for the people. Everybody that lives in this country have a responsibility. For instance, in Edo, when the new governor came on board, he says unionism should be abolished. Unionism is not something that the government can control. For example, you see somebody brings a head of plantain from the village and they buys it for, say, 800 naira. If it comes to Benin City, it's probably supposed to sell it for 1,500 or 1,600, including cost of operation and profits. But because of unionism, they will come and tell you they are selling it for 4,000, 5,000. There's nothing anybody can do about it. We as a people also play a role to keep things on the high end in terms of cost of living. Yes, the subsidy has been removed, but the presidency introduced CNG as an alternative form of energy because he realized that the political cabalism in the issue of petroleum that they've used to keep us where we are by making Nigeria is not something they can fix overnight. Some people now, if you look at some keke and some buses and some vehicles, they do convert their vehicles to using CNG, which means in a week, if you use 40,000 naira for transport to run it, with CNG, you can spend 7,000, 8,000 naira. It will take you for the same time. But the people that are running those transport systems, because it is us as the common man is also cheating another common man, they will not charge you lesser than what a man that has not converted his vehicle is charging. If a man is charging 500 naira from Ring Road to Third Junction, the man that is using CNG will be charging you the same. So how do you now manage those things and then attribute that to the fault of the presidency?
Okay. All right, so I'll just let Honorable Destiny react to some of the points that you
made. Yes, I want sincerely, appreciate my brother in trying to defend Bola Ahmed and APC-led administration. It is very unfortunate that we have found ourselves in this quagmire. Because if we flash our mind back to the inauguration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration, which is 2 years today, if I'm not mistaken.
Almost 2 years ago.
He said that the reason he's removing subsidy, it is to reduce, better still, minimize the issue of borrowing. But today, you and I know, you know what we've borrowed for these 2 years. So for me, I never wanted to go into subsidy removal because it was a total disaster. See, you are a journalist. The day he made that statement, that day, I was driving.
Of course, I'm not denying.
They've already jacked up.
Why? I'm not denying.
Why did you jack it up?
Just hold on. What we are saying, you see, most times I've always found it difficult to try to explain. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said no more subsidy. Nigerians should also understand that there was already a bill that was signed into law. So he came and, he made an announcement. But the question that we ask is that if
that announcement is effect.
Just hold on, no. If without that law, do you think that pronouncement, well, maybe some would have said that it would have been an executive order, but an executive order that would have been backed up by law. So I think we should refer more to the law than the pronouncement.
You see, you said something just now. Yes. Listen, let us not contradict ourselves here. You said an executive order that would have been backed by law. Now he has said that going forward, that the inauguration will not be a joint session.
Make it cheaper.
There's going to be a law a bill of which I told you, I listened to the National Assembly either last week, that they were going to sponsor a bill to that effect. So it is that bill that will not back is executive order by. That is it. So for us, I never wanted to go into subsidy because when I think of it, it is secret. It is secret. Indeed, because before you are a father, you are a husband. Yeah. Before you embark on any venture regarding money that will affect your wife and your kids, you must sit down, do a plan, look at the positive and the negative sides of it. That's what I do. Myself and my wife will sit down, we look at it, because it's no longer funny. So for a president that I believe, that I so much admire because of his being smart, quote unquote, as a governor of Lagos State, to come up without any plan, to me, it was disheartening. And again, let me try to address some of the issues raised by my friend. The issue of talked about fiscal and money policy, that it was never, during Okojo-Iweala, Yaradua and Jonathan, they ran one of the finest monetary and policy in this country. If you can flash on, you see, the issue is this: we must bring in our best mind in moving this very porous economy. We need a very sound mind, like the likes, with utmost humility, Okojo-Iweala and the former African Development Bank was Akinwumi Ambode. I said something about that the issue of governance has been reduced. What they are saddled with now is 2027. You saw what happened in the International Conference Center. You saw the money earmarked for the renovation. To me, you have given us another international center. See, that money earmarked for this whole charade. It is jetways and naming it after a sitting president. Now, you see, we must look at it.
Some say, Honorable Destiny, International Center.
Yes.
Some say that place is more or less like a public image to Nigeria.
Definitely. Definitely.
So I'm not trying to vindicate the renovation.
That you use such a bogus amount in doing renovation.
Okay, so it's a bogus amount.
That is my problem. It's because actually we have found ourselves in this economic quagmire. Everybody must cost. You don't say you are a husband, you are a father. You are telling your kids and your wife to cut costs. While you are living a flamboyant, your kids are seeing you are wearing a shoe of 1 million naira. And you are telling your kids, oh, my kid, now, go and buy a shoe of 20,000 naira. And they look at your leg. Does it sound right?
All right.
There's no morality in it.
Beautiful.
It's not justifiable. Yeah, that is my point.
Yeah, all right. So viewers out there, the program is Parliament and Governance on Independent Television. We look at the activities at the Nigerian Parliament and, of course, how it affects, normal governance in the country. So being the June 12 period, we are looking at the June 12 day, in commemoration of June 12 in Nigeria.
I felt a sense of collective accomplishment when I realized how far we had come as a nation. Since 1999, democracy has risen from the ashes and destitution of military rule to take its original rightful place as the only mode of governance of resilient and beloved people. With every footstep I took through this hallowed hall, up to the moment I now stand before you, I remember that we still have so much and a lot for that to go. To achieve this progress, we sought an elective office to lead this nation forward. Thus, I hereby affirm before you, our merciful and almighty God, and all men, and resolve to do all that I could do to safeguard and build our democracy as the divine hand intends for us to do.
Now, I did say a while ago that we're going to be taking some excerpts, maybe to react to some of the statement that Mr. President said in his address before the National Assembly. Now, if you look at one of the things that he said, I'm just going to read this to you, Honorable Destiny. Now, he said since 2018, that Nigeria has celebrated Democracy Day, and of course on this day, June 12, 2025, the country has to commemorate the sacrifices of men and women who fought to restore democratic governance in Nigeria today. Now, let us go back. 2000 and June 12, 1993. Now, let us look at, the democratic governance that we're talking about. I mean, since June 12 saga, even since the pronouncement of recognizing June 12. Let's look at democratic governance vis-a-vis what we are witnessing as Nigerians. Honorable Etunsa.
Well, I don't think my brother Destiny has much to say when it comes to the issue of democracy.
No, you cannot say so. That would be judgmental.
No, I mean, what I say is
you cannot judge him.
No, I'm not judging. I said, I don't think he has much to say. But he will eventually tell us what he has to say. I'm just trying to,
why don't you
I'm just trying to get him ready. I'm just trying to get him ready for the next round. Before I speak on the issue of democracy and how far we've
democratic
gone.
Democratic governance.
Vis-a-vis
June 12.
Yes, I just think that my brother here is playing politics more than the actual issues we're supposed to talk about. Why? Because Lagos State, where he was former governor, the so-called area boys makes Lagos State the most prolific and the most established industrialized state in West Africa that made it the 5th largest economy in West Africa. So if these so-called area boys are now working with the president, bros, I'm very happy to have them make Nigeria over time and also a very powerful economic hub, just like Lagos.
But some say almost 2 years down now.
Well, let me tell you this. It is easy to destroy than to rebuild. Nigeria is better off today than it has ever been in the last 30, 40 years. All we need to do as a people is not just playing politics and campaigning indirectly against a man that has brought what they call monetary and fiscal policy. To me, I believe that on the macro level, stopping the subsidy, tackling the areas of leakages within the state, increasing the allocations to the different state government, I'm sure you can see that reflecting in terms of the development from the different states. And that is the reasons why you see most of these governors in some of the other parties coming to say, well, we've been able to reduce our debts in the states because of the increase in federal allocation. We've been able to do more capital projects to develop our states. And on that note, the president has not played politics to say that because he's an APC, if there's a PDP governor in Bayelsa, his money that is due to them will not go to them. The money they are getting now is so much money, and they are able to actually do so much for their people. And they've made it very obvious, and that is why he's able to interface with them and the people are joining the parties. So in terms of democracy itself, I think that I am very happy that at this point, a man in the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was already a billionaire by every aspect of life as a businessman, has been able to come on board to do something differently. Differently in the sense that nobody's talking about the agro-revolution. Nobody's talking about the cost of reduction of the bag of rice now. I remember many a times when the president, under President Buhari, used to bring subsidy or palliative to this state. The government that my brother served under the previous administration of Godwin Obaseki used to hide those palliatives. But now those things are no longer hidden, because when you make decisions, like he says, when you make decisions that will affect certain key areas like energy or subsidy, there are provisions made. The thing is that those provisions made, how are the common man who works within the system distributing them? If the process fails, you can blame the center, which is normal. We all do it. But I think that we should look inwards rather than looking outwards. He just said that the president talks about bringing June 12 to a joint session, which means all the preparation for parade, all those money spent for those things will possibly be abolished. Possibly. I am not going to say 100%, but I know that if you are doing a swearing in a joint section, definitely you will forget about all these other displays, which is a good thing that the president is proposing. And if a legislation is put to that effect, which you agree with, it means that the whole proposal will come into effect after the legislation is passed by the entire representative in the country. So there's nothing wrong with what the president said when he was sworn in, because there was already a bill passed into law that enables him to say that under the petroleum industry bill, we are removing the subsidy, because you are forgetting about the effect of subsidy. You are forgetting about the fact that certain elements of cabal in the country will tell you that they brought 10 million liters of fuel to Nigeria. And Nigeria as a country this month does not even consume 3 million liters. Where does the remaining 7 million liters goes? To the pocket of individuals who are so powerful and bigger than this country.
All right,
so wait a minute. Yeah. So when a president that has courage, who means well for his people, comes and challenge the status quo, something that drives and goes back all the way to Europe. Because remember, the so-called swap they did, the very corrupt swap business they did, even from Goodluck Jonathan under Okonjo-Iweala, it was under the nose of Okonjo-Iweala and Goodluck Jonathan that the foreign reserve depleted from $40 billion to $2.6 billion under their nose. So you cannot tell me they run the best economy. I think the best economy is being run under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because...
and I remember it was also under Goodluck Jonathan that we had the foreign reserve increased almost by 3, 4, 5%.
No, it was not. Let me tell you. It was when the former President Obasanjo was leaving power, increased the foreign reserve to $60 billion. That was what the Goodluck Jonathan and Yar'Adua's administration came into. And by the time Yar'Adua passed on, the reserves was around 40-something billion.
Yeah,
yes, it was fact.
Yeah, but it was fact. Obasanjo never. Anyway, that's not.
No, but it was fact. By the time Goodluck was leaving, I just wanted to correct the impression. I just wanted to correct the impression that the best economy for you to challenge Binance Group, who was fixing an independent interest rate, something that does not happen elsewhere. The subsidy, you cannot tell me you bring 10 million liters of fuel for Nigeria in a month.
Beautiful.
When a Nigerian does not consume 3 million liters, and this has been happening for many years. The extra money, the product is taken to West Sub-Saharan Africa, so that this money goes to individual pocket. I think the best thing that the president did was to remove subsidy, because subsidy was a corrupt entity.
Beautiful.
It made people powerful. You made them richer than the country. And at the end of the day, I think we should support such a thing.
Now, we are looking at democratic governance, since June 12, 1993. Now, thank God it has not been APC since 1993. We've had PDP, we've had APC, and all that. Now, what is your own level of assessment of democratic governance in Nigeria since June 12, 1993?
Mr. Evans, let me again appreciate you. You see, let me correct my friend here. You see, the issue, if we look at it,
I'm coming.
I'll speak to the issue. I'll definitely speak to the issue. During Jonathan led this nation as the first or the #1 economy in Africa. But as we speak very just now, it's about 4th or 5th, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's not correct.
It's check.
Speak to the issue. It's not correct. Google does not give you facts.
Let's you don't have to judge.
We don't have to.
No, we don't use Google for anything confirmed. We don't confirm anything on Google.
It says something just now, the issue of money, that governors have more money now. We try to look at the value of the money.
I'm happy a lot of money. Just speak to the issues.
My friend, you see, I'm happy you are an international fellow.
You're playing politics.
It's not politics. I'm giving you facts.
What are the facts? What are the facts?
You look at it. What you buy, like this pen during Jonathan, and look at it now, the money you get.
What do we produce? Why are you being biased to the truth? Why are you economical?
I said it earlier. I said this pronouncement of having it in a joint session will it increase our production. You know, I said it earlier.
It will.
See, it just has, my tune is different from your own tune.
No, it will increase it. So
it will increase it. Okay, well, let's live in an assumption.
Yeah, what he's trying to say, that for a government that believes so much on trying to minimize cost, so for him, that's June 12 celebration, the what's it called now, the inauguration.
Hold on, Mr. Evans, no, I'm sorry to cut you to come in here. Yeah. He's trying to minimize cost. He's globetrotting as if a boy that is in love. You know, when you are in love,
that is statutory.
What is statutory? I was a local government chairman. There was something like statutory. But it's a thing of the mind. It's a thing of the mind.
You have the statutory responsibility.
What is a thing of the mind? That you going and buy an Escalade of how many hundreds of millions?
About those things.
Going to buy a private jet.
Speaking about those things. Is it for himself? It's for the state.
Whether it's for the state or not.
Look
at the economy very just now.
Speak to the issue.
That's what I'm looking at. I'm coming, sir.
I'm surprised.
We are looking at the democratic process since June 12. Very just. Look at it. You look at the way you spend, like a drunken sailor. That's the point. That's exactly what we're saying.
Not correct.
You globetrotting.
It's not correct.
At every minute,
Honorable,
you know how many times he has traveled to France. France is not a second home. You are telling me
Who do you know that don't travel? The government you serve under, does it not travel? What are you talking about?
We are not talking about Obama. He's all of that. It's all of that. It's all about the radar now. Let's go to the democratic process from June 12. You see, the beauty of democracy is what we are enjoying here now. That we are speaking to the issue, the freedom of expression, freedom of speech. That's what we are enjoying here now. And moreover, there are more men in the field in terms of men that we have now, representative and everything. Aside that one, if you look at what as a nation, what we have achieved as a nation, with utmost humility, I have benefited from democracy. It is during the men in khaki that we have achieved. The Lagos that he talked about, that is Lagos was one time the federal capital territory. You are trying to you want to see the proliferation in terms of infrastructure and development to Bola Ahmed Asiwaju,
of course,
the president. That is a big fallacy.
I was lucky.
That's a big fallacy.
I was lucky.
The third mainland bridge. So it was during the military. The one that they used billions to renovate the ICC. It was during the International Conference Center. It was during the military. Abuja will celebrate today. It is during the military. What have we achieved as a people since this democratic, since 1999?
1993.
No, let's put
1999, yeah.
Beautiful. Let's situate it. What have we achieved? Can we point to this concrete thing that we have achieved?
We've achieved democracy.
Okay, now let us, gentlemen, let us look at something that we must also talk about. I mean, we started by trying to hint on it when we started this discussion today. You know, Mr. President, we're trying to look at his speeches and, you know, stage by stage now. Now, at a certain point, when he was delivering his speech, he said, at this point, I'm quoting him now, at this point, I plead for your indulgence so that I may put a terrible rumor to bed. Now, to those who ring the alarm that the APC, is intent on a one-party state, I offer you a most personal promise. While your alarm may be a result of your panic, it rings in error. At no time in the past, nor any instance in the present, and at no future juncture shall I view the notion of a one-party state as good for Nigeria. That's what Mr. President said at his presidential, speech on the joint session today. Now, gentlemen, we are all living witness of what is going on in the country right now. It is probably not the first time that we find politicians playing politics of survival. So, Honorable Etunsa, so I wanted to speak to this notion, this impression that Nigeria as it stands now, has metamorphosed into a one-party state.
Certainly not. If I wanted to speak on the issue of a political party in the state, I will use the instances that are closest to me to give a very prima facie examples. For instance, he's a member of PDP, I'm a member of APC. I can tell you today, as bad as APC will be in Edo, we're still much together than the PDP, who had several battles. One of the major examples that I want to use, not the one we will talk about, the national, it will look as if I want to support the party. I've given you reasons, the issues of increment in the allocation and the constant payment in time that has enabled the state governors to work, which he challenged, but at the end of the day, without any factual backing. But it's normal for politicians to have that kind of front and back. The people that has joined on that national level have seen the good of a man in Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has increased allocations to them, and there's no shortfalls in allocation. There's no instance of maybe there's a foul play. Whatever is due to them comes to them, and it's enough for them to want to decide, so maybe if I join this party, it is better. But in the state, in the ideology of what the questions you just asked, there can never be like a really one-party state. It is the people in their political party that runs the party the way they want to run it, create some kind of a destabilization of how things are done. For example, the previous governor of the state is somebody, though he was not in my party, I have people in his party who doesn't really listen so much to his members, especially with some advice. You may advise him, he will tell you, well, he doesn't want to listen. He can challenge people. When the party now become disarray and people leave the party and join APC today, you may not necessarily say that we are creating a one-party state. So in the aspect
Yeah,
of...
but that's what it's turning into.
No, it looks as if, but I'm telling you that as a politician, you cannot be in a party where the number one leader doesn't really listen. The most you will do is, if he's not listening, and the party has now lost elections, the party has not been able to put their house together because of injustice, and the people in that party leaves that party and come to APC, you cannot say that APC is creating a one-party state. No. Because the way they're trying to make it sound is like the APC is coercing these people to come to the APC. No, it's not. Look at the Ijo nation. Bola Ahmed Tinubu came. What he has done for them in terms of from the death of King Saro to date, recognizing that this Ijo nation has suffered, recognizing that so much money has sustained Nigeria from this oil west in the Ijo nation, and to give back as how it was supposed to be. And the Ijo nation raises up and says, look, you know what, this man has really answered our cry. We want to support him, and the governor in Delta State comes to APC. It's not creating a one-party system. You need to go and do your fact-finding. When you do your fact-finding, you realize that this president has been so nice and good to them and helping them to grow as a nation, to benefit from the pollution and the issues that has happened over the years, where multinational companies will come and not clean up the environment. And it has really made it possible for their indigenous to be trained and be employed more into the system and get value for what they are suffering. For people to align with such progression and progressiveness, it cannot amount to one party state like the opposition sometimes is trying to preach to the people just to mislead them.
Okay. Now, Honorable Destiny Ogayirio, now we are looking at the tendency, of Nigeria, because we're also trying to look at the political history over time now. One tendency that Nigeria as a nation seems to have portrayed over time is this idea of Nigeria always tilting towards the political party that the president belongs to. Even when we had President Goodluck Jonathan of the PDP, we also had President Obasanjo of the PDP, we also had almost a similar scenario. So what is it in our democracy or in our politics, that makes politicians to behave this way?
Again, let me quickly say this. You are aware that our political environment is not based on ideology. It is driven by parochial,
by the tendency to survive politically,
and pedestral reasoning that propelled by stomach infrastructure. That is just it. It's not based on ideology. With utmost humility. And my friend is fantastic that, because the president is working. I think the only passport I have, unlike him, is the green passport, Nigeria passport.
No,
I'm coming, sir. I'm driving somewhere.
Nigeria.
No, I'm driving somewhere. He's in Nigeria. I'm driving somewhere. You see, he smiled. I'm driving somewhere. What is this?
He's in Nigeria.
What I'm trying to say, I've never been in the moon. I've been following everything as they evolve. But you and I know that these persons, they've been cajoled. They've been, not cajoled, they've been coerced, they've been forced. They'll go there. Like what I read something somewhere that when they open, they say, look at your guy, your predecessor has erred. Immediately, they all moved with the governor, the House of Assembly members, the local government, the councillors, they all moved to save the Oga. I won't mention the state. You know the state. So, for us as a people, we must go back to drawing board. We are talking now because we want a better society where himself and I can work without police, we sleep with our two eyes closed. It talked about the issue of that because they love the president or he's doing well, he's taking us to the El Dorado, or rather we're in the El Dorado already, according to him. You are in this state, the issue of fight against courtesan. You have seen what has happened, what Modokbewolo has happened, by using the fight against courtesan to oppress, to intimidate the PDP chieftain in the state. A case in hand, you must have heard of Honorable Matthew Agbunwezo. His hotel at the time was marked for demolition. Francis Imegbeneke at the time, but now he has joined the ship, kind of he has joined the ship, kind of a police conversion. You know, police conversion when Saul was going to Damascus to persecute the Jesus Christ follower.
And maybe tomorrow,
he was visited.
Maybe tomorrow you will leave your
God forbid. So the point is this: what am I saying? And again, you saw what happened not too long ago. the Honorable Marcos Onabu, the former speaker, and now House of National Rep member, that some person, some youth went to his house, and the person in question, the owner of the house, is far away in Abuja.
Well, all these are allegations.
No, that's allegation.
Some youths went to his house. I mean, who are those youths?
As I speak here now, I have youth to my father's house. I have youth to my father's house. Before I send them on to buy palm wine. So if tomorrow now they discuss, I have never belonged to, never, whether student courtesan or street courtesan or in my house courtesan. I'm not a member of any court. I'm not a member of any association apart from the civil society movement. So for me, if tomorrow you now see that they now mark my father's house in the village or even my house in Benin for demolition, so you will believe that I'm a member of a court.
Yeah, but you cannot say that about some other persons.
You see, the issue is we must look at it.
No, you cannot.
You see, because you want to hang a dog or you want to kill a dog, give it a bad name. The issue of the one-party system, you are aware, about 3 or 6 months ago, when the National Party chairman said that, yes, we are gradually, that the country is gradually gravitating, he said it. Former governor of Kano
State.
He said it, and it's on record.
Yeah, that is
because I'm coming, sir. You know, because the president, I said it earlier, I admire him so much. He's a very smart man. Because Nigerian people, they have been this issue. Okay, yes, we want to have a one-party state, but we equally want to have what is meted on corrupt people in China. Since you are not trying to say, okay, the political structure towards that of China, we equally want to have their system of dealing with corrupt people. That, okay, they have corrupt politicians. So they are about jittery. No, the president is a smart, is always a step ahead each and every one of us. I give you thumbs up for him. I love him for that.
Well,
for me, we must speak truth to power. Because the only country we have is this country where his children, my children, can go there and vibe without knowing anybody. I tell you, let me quickly let me say this. I got an admission in ABU. This is a national TV in ABU Zaria to read law. My name was in the board, but in the master list for clearance, my name was completely omitted. I spent 8 months in Kaduna thinking that they will rectify it. At the point, I have to summon the courage and advise myself before it don't enter my brain that I'll be assuming that I'm in school, whereas I'm not in school. That's how I returned to Benin. I say, every course, any school, I will take. But today, I'm happy. I have a master's in history. So the point, we want a society where our children will go, mindfully believing their brain will take them without knowing, without knowing the Gebo or knowing the
gentlemen, as we commence our descent now. Now, the president also said something about the GDP. You know, he said that we're already seeing results about the GDP in the country right now. That the GDP, that's the gross domestic products now, grew by 3.4% in 2024, and with the fourth quarter hitting 4.6%, the highest quarter of growth in over a decade. Inflation is easily, gradually steadying. The price of food stable, like rice and beans. You know that the price of stable food now is gradually reducing. After all, we had once upon a time when a bag of rice was sold for more than 120,000 naira. As it is now, in less than 60, 70,000, you can get a bag of rice. Now,
how much,
gentlemen? In less than 70,000.
Yes.
It's a market.
Today.
You can get a bag of rice.
He will not speak about that.
The quality of the rice also.
Before we talk about the quality of the rice, even when the rice was sold, before you say that, there's no how I will not speak on the Okbebulos case. I will always touch on that.
No, we're looking at.
I know, we will speak on the GDP thing. Before I speak on that, first and foremost, anybody in this state today who disagrees with the position of the current governor, Senator Monday Okbebulo, a man who is an indigenous son of this state, who has shown that practical governance is better than English and imported non-indigenous or so-called technocrats, who has come and looted our state dry, which is a beneficiary, that person will be unfair and unjust to the development of this state. Because he has been in the government.
We have different tiers of government.
Anyway, it's okay. Anyway, it's okay. What I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that you mentioned Major Ideke, right? It's a brother and a friend. And Thank God today.
Well, all these are
Just a minute,
allegations.
just a
Let us be
minute,
careful
just a
with the way
minute,
we
just a
mention
minute,
names.
just a
Yeah,
minute.
quickly.
He
Yeah.
was speaking, he didn't interrupt him.
Yeah.
I will have to speak on that because it's something that people will hear tomorrow. Today, Matthew Dekeme's hotel is there, nothing happened to it, we thank God for that. And in other aspects and spheres, anybody who does not support the fight against cultism and encourage and praise this governor for what he has done, to say, look, killings, before the governor was sworn in, over 500 and something people were killed already for no reason. So for the first time, you see a governor that cares.
And asking people to come and
And
renounce.
says, don't fight. I'm not a member of a court, but it is court people that kills court people. He's saying, we don't want that. So I think they should support him. In the issue of the GDP,
yeah.
it is true. The price of rice is coming
How
down.
did he got to know? To Google.
No, I don't use Google.
No, I'm saying the president, not you.
No.
To
For your information, Google is not a reliable source of information, but Google Emerald is a reliable source of information. Because we are So now, on the GDP, the price of rice is gradually coming down because they said Rome was not built in a day. If what this current presidency is doing is not working, I don't think the price of rice will move from 100K to like less than 70,000. And by the grace of God, the price will continue to go down. Like the issues of subsidy, the minute the president pronounced, every other non-patriotic Nigerians increased the price, forgetting that the price that they bought the product that they had for does not have any impact or anything to do with the pronouncement. You see, this is the injustice. Everybody is part of governance. Everybody must be responsible so that at the end of the day, we don't suffocate ourselves and continue to blame the wrong person.
Okay, Honorable Destiny, now on the last one, now where is now the suffering is in Nigeria? If we have the GDP, increasing by almost about 2.something% now from 2024 to 2025, and of course a bag of rice reducing from 100,000 naira plus to less than 70,000 naira. So where the suffering that people talk about in the country, where is it? How?
The reduction is a classroom work. I will go back to classroom.
No,
I promise, I went to market yesterday. I bought a head of plantain. You know how much? 18,000 naira.
It is the season. This is not plantain.
I bought it.
It's not plantain season. So
it's a theory. You see, I don't know why. I don't know why we are so fervent about destination. Not knowing that there is a process.
You bought a plantain for 18,000. Is that Tinubu that did that one?
It's a cumulative effect. It's not just.
But if I were you, I won't speak more because of the previous.
All right, gentlemen, I think this is where we have to end the program today.
Because the union
I
are
will say
making
a
it so.
very
I'm
big
telling you.
thank you to my two guests, my two analysts on the program here today, Parliament and Governance, and a very big thank you to Honorable Etunsa, a political analyst, in Benin and of course in Nigeria. And also a very big thank you to Honorable Destiny Ogayerio. And also, let me say goodbye until same time and next week on the same program, Parliament and Governance. My name is Evan Sulukogi. Goodbye and God bless you.